And welcome back to CentralCoastRadio.com, where we have got a very, very special guest on our show today because Metro Comic Con is coming very, very fast upon us, and we actually thought, let's start getting some of the guests on the show today, and we're starting off with Daman Mills. Daman, welcome to the show. You have got such an amazing back catalogue of work that you've worked on, so I was wondering if you could start off by telling our audience a little bit about how you got into voice acting in the first place.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for having me on your show. This is such an honor, and I'm really excited for Metro Comic Con. It's my first time actually coming to Australia, so it's
oh wow,
yeah. Getting into voiceover. So like a lot of people, I actually grew up as a fan of anime and video games as kind of like, you know, my media pastime, and I was actually a really introverted kind of kid. I never thought I would be pursuing acting as a career. So when I realized that voiceover was a profession, it was when I was watching Dragon Ball and kind of understanding people like Chris Sabat and whoever were like the voices behind those characters, and that's what they did. And I thought, oh, that's actually super awesome. I would really like to do anything like that ever, and just be able to jump into a character role and into a franchise that I love, or even just finding a new show or role or whatever. I just thought it was all just really fascinating and awesome. So what I ended up doing was I kind of practiced on my own on like, I started recording myself on like my Razor Motorola phone at the time, just kind of testing out my voice and whatever. Then I eventually got a computer. I was like 15, I don't know, I was really young. And kind of started trying to find my sound, I guess.
Yeah.
Because when you're starting with this, like, you don't really know what voice to use, or like where it kind of sits. You're kind of still figuring things out. So I started with that. I would research more into the business. I would like read books and take classes. I made my own demo reel. I had a whole sort of online community of aspiring voice actors that all wanted to do the same thing. We all kind of collectively bonded that way. And so that's kind of how I got my start in like a very indie, amateurish way. I never intended this to be a full-time profession, but the more I did it, the more success I had, and I ended up deciding this is what I wanted to do. I want to pursue this. So I moved several times, actually. I first started doing jobs in New York City. I worked on a few anime up there and Pokemon as well. There's not as much work in New York for voiceover, so I didn't stay there super long, and then I moved to Dallas, Texas, where Funimation, now Crunchyroll, was based. And that was sort of my, big jump into trying this in a very full-time way. And it was awesome because when I got there, I immediately had opportunities because I had like done a fair bit of networking at this point and met a lot of people, and I got an opportunity to audition for a One Piece film, which was amazing, and I booked it, and that was the first thing I did. Now I'm in Los Angeles. I work out here on anime still, but video games and a bunch of other stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, wow. Being a fan of anime and being a fan of video games, what was that like when you first started to get roles in some of the most iconic shows like Pokemon or Dragon Ball? What was that like for you, already being a fan of the genre?
It was amazing. I mean, very, very surreal to be a part of any of this, and I still geek out about it, I try to keep up with a lot of stuff for this stuff pretty much on the regular. But Dragon Ball was like my favorite anime, and being able to now jump into the role of Frieza is while it is a bittersweet way that it happened, I am still very grateful that I can kind of continue the legacy of this character because it means so much to not only me, but so many other fans across the world. and I just want to do it justice.
Definitely. Now, I know this is probably like asking a parent who their favorite child is, but have you had a favorite character, or do you have a favorite character at the moment that you just love whenever you get the opportunity to voice them?
I mean, Frieza's definitely up there. Like, Frieza's just incredibly delightful to play because sometimes it's just so fun to play bad, because you get to do all these sorts of really dynamic performances and I don't know, it's just fun. He's definitely up there. It's very hard to pick a favorite though, because there's so many aspects of so many different characters that I love. It's hard to like decide.
Yep.
I have like favorites, like Frieza and Cherry Blossom from Skate the Infinity. A new role that I've been playing in Honkai Star Rail Blade. He's really really fun. And Final Fantasy VII as Vice. There's so much.
Definitely. Now let's bring it back to Metro Comic Con. We are so excited about this con starting up in Australia. You mentioned this is going to be your first visit to Australia. What are you excited about doing while you're here?
Exploring the area at all. Like, I want to really experience the culture and see whatever anybody recommends me to see, because I love visiting new places. I love traveling. I think it's going to be really awesome. Meeting a whole different scene of fans is going to be really cool. There's a ton of other really awesome acting peers that are going that I've never met that I admire their work, so that's really awesome. There's so much.
Now, like you said, there is amazing guests coming to this convention, and there's some of them you're excited to see as well. Has that happened to you in the past at other conventions where you have suddenly come face to face with someone that you've idolized? And what do you like in those moments? Are you able to talk to them, or do you go deadly quiet?
No, I don't go quiet. The thing with actors or anybody that has any notoriety is just treat them like people. I just try to compliment their work and just have a normal, engaging conversation with them. And we are all in the entertainment business. We just work in different aspects of it.
Yep.
But I mean, you can't help but get starstruck sometimes if you meet somebody that you're like, oh my gosh, you're da 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 and whatever, and it's really cool. But I try not to act like a fool.
Now, I had a look at your CV, and you've been to a lot of these conventions over the years. What do you love about these conventions?
I love getting to meet the fans, because when you're recording or performing any of these sorts of projects, you don't get the immediate sort of response from who you're performing for, and so getting to hear how much these characters sort of resonate with these fans, or how they connect to them, or how they get them through something very challenging, or just the love that they have is so touching. And I think that's the biggest, most rewarding thing about going to these, because at the end of the day, we wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for everybody consuming it in the audience. So I'm just very, very grateful for that.
Yeah. So many people over the years at conventions that I've spoken to have talked about the fact that certain shows or certain episodes of shows have got them through tough times. I was talking to someone recently who said that she'd been on a cancer battle for 12 months, and that different shows got her through that. Is that tough when you hear that from fans, that they've gone through a tough time, but something you've worked on have got them through that?
It's very emotional, and it can be very hard. I've had people come up to me and burst into tears because it's just meant so much to them, the character or the franchise or whatever that they're connecting with. And I'm always so flattered, and sometimes I'm at a loss for words, because it's just so heartfelt and amazing. And I don't know. I just have to emphasize how grateful I am for it,
On the lighter side, what is it like when somebody comes up to you with a figurine that's based on a character that you've played?
It's so cool.
Does that must, not only be cool, but that must feel pretty special as well to you when someone comes up like that.
Of course, I love seeing all of the merchandise, or when people bring up fan art as well that they draw. I try to keep everything that people give to me because it's so special. There's so many talented people who come up and they're like, "I made this for you," and I'm like, "What? That's amazing!" Um, but the figures are cool too, and there's some really sick stuff that comes out.
Yeah,
like, it's really really cool designs and everything. It's awesome.
yeah. So one of the questions we are asking all of the guests that are coming to Metro Comic Con is, we want our listeners to be able to give you some advice about what to do when you're in Melbourne. So what kind of things do you like to do away from conventions when you're in a city?
I'm such a foodie, honestly. Like, point me to the best restaurant that you've got.
Yeah.
And they'll list them. Or a specific food I should try, or anything outdoorsy, scenic. I'm all about all of that. That's all really, really exciting and fun for me.
Well, there is so much to do in Melbourne. You've got the zoo, you've got lovely walks all the way through Melbourne, because we've got a river that runs right through our city. So
what?
Yeah, so there's the Yarra River, there's the Botanical Gardens, but one place I reckon you really might like is a place called Fortress. It's a video game heaven, but it's a restaurant bar mixed in with video games, board games, and everything that you can imagine, all in the one spot.
Holy crap, I love that.
Yeah. So, I think you might like that one.
Yeah, I need like somebody to make an itinerary for me so I can just go wandering around.
Definitely. So, I have to ask, what's the one thing that you're looking forward to most with Metro Comic Con?
Again, it's hard to even pick because with the fans, the city itself, the country, the other guests, it's all really amazing stuff, and I'm just really excited. I'm not excited for the plane ride, but that's fine.
Yeah, my advice for that is pack a good book, or definitely take them up on the in-flight entertainment. So, yeah.
Yes. I usually bring like my Switch, or I have my iPad that I'll have movies or whatever on.
Awesome.
I may do some work, sleep,
Awesome. Well, mate, we are running right out of time. So to finish off, what would you like to say to all of your fans that are thinking about grabbing tickets to Metro Comic Con? And what have you got planned for the future as well?
Well, fans should definitely come out because it's going to be a blast. I think there's going to be a ton of fun there, a ton of really cool panels and meet and greets and all of that. And I would love to meet everybody there. And as far as upcoming stuff, oh my gosh, there's so much. So I mentioned Honkai Star Rail. That's a new game by MiHoYo, or HoYoverse, that just launched in April, and my character Blade is upcoming in the next batch, as well as some other stuff I can't talk about. There's a couple other games that I already announced. Trails into Reverie is another one coming in July. I believe I play Swin Abel. And aside from that, yeah, all TBD. Or TBA.
TBA.
Yeah, not to be determined. To be announced.
Well, Daman, thank you so much for taking the time to be on our show today. It's been an absolute honour having you on the show, and we'll see you in Melbourne very, very soon at Metro Comic Con.
Very excited. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.